So, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Thank you very much to be with us in this impact seminar regarding artificial intelligence and higher education. It's a great pleasure for us to follow these activities because we are learning a lot. I'm talking about myself, that I don't know anything, and I'm very much impressed by what we can do using artificial intelligence regarding a more inclusive, more transformative, I would say, higher education. Today, we have a colleague from the University of Aegean, Professor Vlasis Kassapakis, who is an assistant professor in the University of Aegean. A few words about Vlasis. I will start with his education. He has a bachelor, master, and PhD from the University of Aegean. His research involves 3D graphics, mixed reality, virtual reality, game design, among others. His work has received more than 1,000 citations with H-index 17. He's an assistant professor in 3D graphics and mixed reality in the Department of Cultural Technology and Communication. Today's lectures is entitled Realization of Virtual Reality Learning Environments. I think that is a continuation. And yesterday we had a very nice introduction by his colleague Damianos Gavalas. And Vlasis, we are looking forward for your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you for the invitation. So should I start?
Yeah, please share your screen.
Okay. So is everything okay? You can hear. So you can see my screen?
Yeah, everything is fine. You can
start.
Okay.
So hello everyone. Today we're going to talk about the technical process of realization of virtual reality learning environments. And I'm going to start my presentation with virtual reality. I know that a lot of us know about virtual reality and how it works, but I always like to have a small introduction, a short introduction about it. We're going to talk about virtual reality learning environments, or VRLEs as we call them. Then we are going to examine some virtual reality learning environments platforms, and we're going to talk about their affordances and the development process of virtual reality learning environments in those platforms. And I'm going to conclude my presentation using the Revealing project, which is a project that we nowadays develop, and its objective is about creating virtual reality learning environments. We're going to see a lot about it later. So virtual reality, what is virtual reality? Actually, we cannot define it yet, but in an essence, we like to call it as the process of making someone have an experience which is not there. This is also objective, because if you live an experience, it's there, even if it's a digital one. So how we can make a person think that is in another place, for example. So from the living room, how we can transfer a person to a dungeon, for example, and make that person believe that he or she is in that dungeon. In virtual reality, we do this using technology. We use head and body tracking, for example. We wear head-mounted displays, we wear sensors on our hands and our feet, and we transfer the whole body motion and head motion from the real world to the virtual one. Then we use realistic graphics and sound to simulate a virtual environment. And we also use interactivity and user input. What we are trying to do with virtual reality is that we are trying to make the person, we are trying to simulate the senses of a person inside the virtual environment, which is created from using a computer. So we are trying to match the senses of a real person with the view of a virtual world and the experience of a virtual world. So to do that, we use non-immersive virtual reality systems like desktop computers, for example, which only simulate a window to the virtual world. We then moved on to semi-immersive virtual reality systems, which is like flight simulators or pilot training systems, where you make this window to the virtual world bigger. And then we created the immersive version of virtual reality where you wear a headset and some sensors, and then you can fully immerse yourself in the virtual world. Today, we're going to discuss about the third option, the immersive virtual reality one, which is the most interesting in my opinion. So how we create virtual reality learning environments and what are virtual reality learning environments which we create using immersive virtual reality. In essence, they are just applications that use virtual reality technology to offer interactive learning experience. It's a simplified definition. So, for example, we can wear our head-mounted display and have two controllers and then visit a virtual laboratory where we can conduct experiments and use high quality and expensive medical equipment without the need of buying it. So we can train ourselves in medical equipment use or any other laboratory equipment use we wish. Another example of virtual reality learning environments is language learning. We can immerse ourselves inside virtual worlds, and we can practice speaking and listening in different languages. And also we can often simulate real world scenarios such as ordering in a restaurant or navigating a foreign country. We also have simulations for professional training. These are very popular and they are used in the industry a lot because it's less expensive to simulate a car, for example, and teach a mechanic how to fix a car than send him the real car. So we use a lot of simulation and professional training in virtual reality learning environments. There are other aspects of virtual reality learning environments like art and design. In education, we provide 3D canvases and artists new ways and new spaces to experience their art and express themselves. And of course, we use virtual reality learning environments in special education, where we can customize applications to cater the needs of students with disabilities and provide more inclusive and accessible learning experiences, something that you've already discussed with Damianos yesterday. So why we use virtual reality as we define it with the technological infrastructure that we use to materialize it in learning. We use it because it creates active and immersive learning experiences. It creates emotional and empathetic learning to students. We can use multisensory and multimodal learning because you use a lot of senses and a lot of interactions when you learn through virtual reality learning environments. And also we can provide meaningful and real-time feedback. If you make a mistake inside virtual reality, we can quickly inform you about it and we can quickly guide you to learn a correct process, for example, or give you some advice. So this is a very meaningful as a feedback, and it also can be provided in real time inside virtual reality because we can program those virtual worlds to do anything we want to. Also, virtual reality learning environments are a controlled and safe environment. No one will be harmed if there is an explosion or if there is a mistake inside virtual reality. For example, we can have complex and abstract concept visualization. This is actually used a lot in mathematics. We can create visualizations of things that we cannot actually correctly depict in books or stuff like that. There is reduced cognitive load. This refers to studies that they test the cognitive load against real traditional, let's say, learning experiences. So virtual reality has reduced the cognitive load, and also it provides novelty and excitement. So how do we create virtual reality learning environments? Which are the tools that we have to use to create virtual reality learning environments? The first thing is custom development. Custom development refers to something that you've already discussed a bit yesterday also, refers to taking the equipment from companies or creating your own equipment to access virtual reality, immersive virtual reality, and use game engines and application engines like Unreal Engine and Unity, and use this combination to create custom applications, which of course required a lot of programming and a lot of knowledge about those technologies. So let's see an example of something that we've created here in our lab. we took some of those technologies and we programmed them with Unity, and we created, for example, a virtual reality learning environment where you communicate through sign language. This is a virtual reality learning environment which assists students to learn about sign language communication. Let's see a bit of that. Now, this is a real sign language teacher. We record the motion of the real language teacher and we transfer it and communicate it to students. Another example is an example of a process, of learning a process. This virtual reality learning environment is also developed by our lab and presents the process of creating, the traditional process of creating Ouzo on the island of Lesbos, where our department is located. So we can use this application, for example, to teach our students and teach people in general on how the traditional process of Ouzo was conducted during the last decades, for example. So this is all the details from the process. We can hear some stuff which are not in the video right now. So actually, you can use everything inside that place and learn about how to create Ouzo and how Ouzo was created in its traditional version. So as you can see, there is a lot of stuff that we can do which are not ordinary. We can do whatever we like in custom development and virtual worlds. However, during the last decade, this is not the case because custom development requires a lot of money, it requires a lot of people, and it requires a lot of knowledge. So very, very quickly, as already done with computer games, for example, many companies wanted to give access to virtual reality environments to many developers in order to create content, because the key is to create a lot of content. If you don't have a lot of content, people will not visit virtual reality and they are not going to use virtual reality headsets. So the paradigm changed a bit. Many companies created customized engines like Unity and Unreal, which are easier to use and can be used by many people with less skills, less computing, programming skills, for example. And you can use those engines, which are simplified, have a desktop or a laptop computer and to use those engines, create virtual worlds, and invite people inside these virtual worlds. So they streamlined that pipeline in order to be able to create virtual reality learning environments, which are collaborative, and they include the social aspect, which is very, very important. So we have many affordances in those platforms. For example, we have real-time voice communication. This is a real example of such platform called VRChat. So many people are together, they wear their headsets or they use their computer and they communicate with each other in the same virtual reality space from another location, each of them. We also have avatar representation. We have to be able to look ourselves inside virtual reality learning environments. So those platforms that I've already mentioned do that. They allow you to create a virtual avatar and see yourself and be represented inside the virtual world. They also allow sophisticated non-verbal communications, many of them. So you can make expressions and you can communicate easier inside virtual reality learning environments. They also allow media and animations to be implemented and sophisticated interactions. You can use your controllers, pick up stuff and move them around the virtual world and examine them, for example. We can do this with custom development as well. So we have platforms which give us simplified game engines or application engines, and we can use them to create collaborative virtual reality learning environments. But we can also use custom development to do that. Of course, it's much more expensive, but it has a lot of more capabilities for development. So this is an example that we've created in our lab. I was located, I'm gonna just replay that because it's a short one. I'm located in Lesbos and another person is located in Syros. There are two islands in Greece and we communicate with each other inside the virtual world. And we use this system to create virtual reality learning environments, but it's much more expensive than the platforms out there. So those platforms, in an essence, are two. There is the VRChat platform right now in the market, and there is the Mozilla Hub platform, which also exists. And they are not against each other because they offer different types of experiences. For example, VRChat offers a multi-user environment. It can be executed in desktop and virtual reality. It's Unity-based. You have to use Unity engine to develop worlds, and you can include many people inside virtual worlds, and they can communicate with each other, as already mentioned. They can perform interactions. They can learn inside those virtual worlds. So the one case of such platforms is VRChat. The other one is Mozilla Hubs. Mozilla Hubs, as you can see, is more simplified. It doesn't offer such a high avatar fidelity. It is browser based. You can execute it through your browser. It can be executed in desktop, virtual reality, and mobile devices. And you perform browser based development. You log into a website and create virtual worlds. So let's talk about a small comparison in order to understand how the affordances differ in those platforms. The first thing is the equipment. You can use VRChat through your desktop computer or head-mounted display, and you can use Mozilla Hubs even from your mobile phone, using your mobile phone. So Mozilla Hubs platform is way easier to use. However, as you can see, you use Mozilla Hubs in the browser based over here, and you use VRChat as a standalone application, but there is already a difference in fidelity, because you can see that there are simplified avatars over there, and here we have a more sophisticated virtual world, and this is based on the technology that we use. Also, Mozilla Hubs has Spoke Engine. It's something like Unreal Engine or Unity, but it's less. It can do less stuff, and it's more easy to use. For VRChat, we have to develop in Unity, and it's a lot more difficult to do so. And in VRChat, we have sophisticated interactions, which we don't have in Mozilla Hubs. We can use levers, we can press buttons, we can do whatever we want. And finally, in Mozilla Hubs, we have those simple worlds because it's a browser-based virtual reality engine. And in VRChat, we can have worlds which are very, very beautiful, as you can see over here. So we can allow users to visit high-fidelity 3D virtual worlds, include characters, for example, and all that stuff. So just to get to the bottom of it, we have three methods, two methods for developing virtual reality learning environments nowadays. The one is custom development, and the other one is to use a virtual reality platform such as VRChat or Mozilla Hubs. VRChat is more sophisticated, but it requires a lot of more programming to develop worlds and virtual reality learning environments. Mozilla Hub is easier to use, but it's less sophisticated and provides less, let's say, fidelity virtual reality learning experiences. So I'm going to give you an example of using VRChat as a learning environment through our project, Realization of Virtual Reality Learning Environments, which is an Erasmus project. What we did in that project is that we've trained people and professors from higher education institutions. We trained them on virtual reality technologies. We allowed them to wear head-mounted displays. We met with them. We guided them through all the technology of virtual reality. Then we allowed those people to include the pedagogy inside the process of virtual reality, of creating virtual reality worlds. They also brainstormed a lot of ideas of virtual reality or learning of learning scenarios, and then we implement them in virtual reality. So they trained in virtual reality. They knew how the technology works and how they can use it. They included their experience in pedagogy. They brainstormed scenarios, and they designed them. Of course, what students should do in a learning scenario. We, as the University of the Aegean, designed and developed those scenarios in VRChat, and then we use iterative design to make them better and more efficient over time. So the result of that process resulted in was four scenarios. There is a climate change impact on sea life scenario, linear algebra scenario, ancient Greek technology scenario, and German explorer scenario. So as you can see, those are virtual reality learning environment scenarios that you don't expect to be realized in virtual reality environments. So this experience showed us that if you allow people from higher education or from education to train themselves in virtual reality, they can think incredible things to transfer inside virtual reality learning environments. So this is the result of that process. This is the climate change impact on sea life, where students have to use a ruler and measure sea urchins between time periods. This is the linear algebra scenario, where you can use platforms to train yourself inside virtual reality to linear algebra. The next scenario is ancient Greek technology, where you use Frictorius, an ancient communication system using specific spaces of torches. So students were immersed in that world and they communicated using that binary communication system of ancient Greeks. And the last scenario is German explorers that we implemented in that project in VRChat. You can find yourself in a cabin, you can go to Ecuador, and you can visit the Kilimanjaro mountain. So students have to discuss about the process of German explorers. For example, inside virtual reality, they have to train themselves in the plantation of the mountain, in the details of the expedition. But just to give you an example, this is what the evaluation looked like. We invited students to train and use those learning environments, and just a glimpse of a real. So this is a real application. So these are students. At the right of the screen is the professor, and students discuss about an ancient Greek invention. So they use, for example, a torch, they light a fire, they see the invention working, they discuss about its details. All that is happening inside a virtual world synchronously at the same time. So this is how a virtual reality learning environment VRChat was implemented through Revealing project. So as you can see, you can do whatever you want inside the virtual world, and you can simulate the process of traditional learning because you have so many affordances nowadays that can let you simulate even your whole body as a professor or a student inside the virtual world. So thank you very much. I hope I didn't went out of my time my time limit.
Not at all. Not at all, Vlasis. I have some questions, but I will provide the floor first to our colleagues if they have. So I will start, and then I will initiate the discussion then. So Vlasis, thank you very much. My first question comes from my no knowledge of the topic, but I would like to use it very much, and I can see, or I can feel, the impact that it can have to my teaching, efficiency. So a part of the infrastructure, I mean, how easy for me is to use and apply these two platforms that you mentioned, the VRChat and the Mozilla Hubs, as someone that I'm doing only lasers myself. So the last course that I had in programming was Fortran when I was in the physics department before 30 years. So can you help me?
This one actually is not an easy question to answer, because still those platforms require training for teachers in order to be able to use them in the classroom. So Mozilla Hubs, for example, you can have about 3 or 4 lectures in Mozilla Hubs, and you will be able to download 3D models, place them on a virtual world, and allow your students very easily to visit that virtual world. However, the whole experience will not be an experience, as we say, a traditional learning experience simulated in the virtual reality learning environment. They will be able to just see some 3D models or some pictures and have a different experience in learning. The important part is VR chat and all that high fidelity learning environments, which are not yet very ripe enough to be used by people who don't have experience. So in my
And
opinion, Mozilla Hubs can be used for demonstration purposes. I'm going to give you an example. We have a geography department over here, and the Mozilla Hubs was used to show students 3D models created through drones and photogrammetry. This was very, very useful because you had the 3D model and you could go around it and you could understand it better because you saw the whole stuff. But creating complex scenarios requires training and programming and more sophisticated platforms like VRChat or custom development.
so
Still,
this could.
still, they try to make them simpler.
So my second question, initiated by your response. This means that, I should, let's say, hire a student to start a PhD in a topic that relates AI, that he or she should have, some programming background in order to start from the VR chat in order to develop what we want. This is
This is
what
what
I'm
we do.
getting.
This is
Okay.
this is what we do. I myself I'm a programmer. I develop VRChat worlds. I develop customized systems. But all my students, my PhD students, have knowledge in Unity and also can develop virtual reality learning environments.
Oh, so the Unity is the software that they should learn, or
The
the language?
Unity is the software. You need to have two. There are two parts of it. The first part is that you have some knowledge in 3D graphics, which you can use
Mhm.
Blender, for example, which is free. You can watch YouTube videos. It's a software that it's not that hard to. It's hard to master, but it's not that hard to introduce yourself in that. And then you can use Unity to develop the worlds or an Unreal Engine. There are two development engines that you can use.
Mhm. Thank you. Um, so you answer
Actually,
my
just to add something more, our role, for example, in the lab that I am right now and the team that I manage, it's commonly to be the technical partner and the consultant for development of virtual reality learning environment. So, as you say, you can have a PhD students. Many people for projects take us as developers for the virtual reality learning environments or virtual environments in general.
So I can order what I would like to do through your
Yes,
laboratory.
yes, yes.
For free.
For free,
No,
we're gonna see
no,
our
no. I'm kidding. I'm
we're gonna
kidding.
see our
Okay.
time. But a lot of times we do stuff for free because we like them.
Okay.
We've
So
recently created a dancing virtual reality learning environment for free because we like the idea. We do that stuff.
anyhow, I mean, money can be found. I will contact you then. For
I would like to clarify just to answer your question more properly is that developing virtual reality learning environments requires both understanding the philosophy and the theoretical foundations of virtual reality learning environments and learning. You have to
of course.
to understand learning, and then you have to development. So it's don't see it as you have to have someone to do that stuff. It's a whole
Yes.
it's a whole it's a whole field that some people are specialized in. So you don't have to feel obligated to have someone to do it. You can find other people who already do that because there's a lot of work to combine.
Excellent. Excellent. This makes the things, easier. Uh, so, my other question is, like you mentioned at the beginning, that you can, with these immersive environments, you can feel all the sensing, or you define the virtual reality as, the process to feel that you are in another place. But can you feel the sensing of smell or the touch through the
Actually,
virtual
yes.
reality?
Actually, yes. I mean that I didn't want to exceed my time limit a lot, but there are a lot of technologies, and you can feel actually touch. You can feel that you are touching an item. There are exoskeletons which allow you to touch an item and your hands won't close, so you feel the shape of the item also. There are some companies that work in touching an item and feeling the material of the item. So they can, with ultrasound, they can simulate wood or plastic, for example, because we also feel that in reality. And as for the smell, they have some systems which go around your nose. They have a lot of perfumes, let's say, and they simulate and they combine the perfumes to create the smell of the environment. For example, if you are in a sunny day, they will try to simulate some flowers, or if you have a winter day, they will try to simulate the smell of the snow, for example. Or
Excellent. And the last one that I have, I'm sorry, is you spoke about the virtual laboratories. I mean, you know that with this staff, lack of staff and lack of funding, probably it's a good alternative in order to enrich the virtual laboratories. I mean, these are custom products. It's something that, I can buy from somewhere. It's something that the department can invest and develop together with the developers, any type of virtual laboratory.
You can develop whatever you want in virtual reality. It's not easy to persuade people that they can do that, because we, from the Revealing project, for example, we had to train all our colleagues in virtual reality, and then they started to think out of the box and what they can do inside that project. My opinion as a developer and as an experienced researcher in that is that we have to start from the basics. For example, in many departments, we have classes and we have things that we would like to have funding to buy equipment, but we cannot, which we teach that every year. And this won't change. And we teach that basic physics. Basic physics will not change. So the best method for me is for institutions to invest in custom development, create something that is sophisticated enough for them and will help the students, and have it to use it forever, for example. They don't have to change it. So my opinion, what I'm saying that okay, this was an Erasmus project. It's a small project. We can do whatever we want to test the technology. But if an institution has and wants to invest in that to help the students and create more immersive learning environments and update their learning process, they should start from the basics for things that won't change and they can be
Yes.
simulated. For example, I can simulate your microscope, a very sophisticated microscope, and I can simulate it
Excellent.
inside virtual reality. This won't change. You can give it to all your students and they can use it.
This is excellent. So the departments, the only thing that they should invest is like the number of, the Googles that they should buy per student, no?
This is also a burden right now. But as we see the technology, I mean, when Facebook bought Oculus, they started to invest in content. They failed on the metaverse. They failed because everyone is disappointed because they created high expectations and they failed because the content was not there. So what we see now is that they do the same thing that they did with Android phones. They make them cheaper and they make the head mount displays cheaper. In my opinion, in some years they are going to give them for free. You are going to buy a laptop and they are going to give you a head mount display for free. And they invest in the content as they did with Google Play or the market in iPads. And they want to have the content and the machine will be cheaper. The machine will be cheaper to access that content.
So what is for example, for a simple application, you mentioned something about, a microscope and that we can train our students. It's clear. If, the Google's cost something like 700 euros, the development of the application, roughly, of course, you will tell me depends on the complication, but, roughly, the development of the application, how much money does it cost?
I'm gonna give you an example I'm gonna give you a personal example. We've developed a virtual reality learning environment which was not so complicated. It has some stuff like some microscopes and all that. We developed it in about 4 months with iterative design because we had professors check it and then we changed a lot of stuff. This requires, I'm gonna answer it in people and then in money. This requires 3 people at least for 3 or 4 months, let's say 4 months. So there are 12 person months, let's say. If you have the person month of 3,000 euros, it should be about 40,000, 50,000.
50, 50.
Yeah. For a sophisticated application of a lab, for example. because you have to use a lot of people. Other people will create the 3D graphics. Other people were going to create the programming. Other people will do the evaluation properly.
Yes.
Some people, of course, will have to train themselves. I do that most of the time. I train myself in the material that I have to create with my team. So, for example, if I have to create the platforms for linear algebra, I will have to understand how to use them, or how the climate change impacts the sea urchins, or how the German explorers felt. So I have to read and understand the material.
Excellent.
But we can do it I'm talking about a sophisticated application. If you want to do something simple, it's of course more, it's cost effective. Yeah.
This is very much important for the university governance. You know, when we lack staff, we cannot find staff, or we would like to invest once, you know, this is very important. Thank you, Vlasis. It was very clear for me. The rest of the people, do you have any question to Vlasis? Or if this is the case, let me check. I cannot see anything on the chat. Great presentation. The work of your laboratory was impressive. Congratulations by our colleague from the University of Patras, Mr. Kidis Stelios. So if this is the case, I would like to thank Vlasis again for the contribution. Today at 2 o'clock CET, we have a webinar of 4 available learning management systems that exist in Israeli universities in Morocco, and universities in Italy, from UNENITUNO, which is the online university. If you're interested, I will share with you the link, and if you're available, you can follow it as well. So thank all of you for the participation, and Vlasis for this nice talk and contribution. And I will contact you, Vlasis, for sure.
Of course. Thank you very much.
Have a nice day.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.